Welcome everyone to another episode of Product Pain to Gain. I'm really excited today that I have Gloria with me here in this episode. Gloria is quite experienced with building a startup. She built her own idea with Comeso, and we will learn in a second what exactly the idea behind Comeso is. Is also very involved in IDEA, which is an Afro-German community, which is really cool to help people build their own companies. Yeah, so today we are talking a bit about Comeso, about the journey, also from a product perspective, but also kind of about building a startup and building such an idea, which is also quite an interesting one. So let's dive in directly. Gloria, so happy that you're in this episode today.
Hi, Felix. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And yes, I'm also happy to be here.
Perfect. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, Comeso, let's start first with a high level intro to understand what is Comeso doing? What is the idea behind Comeso?
Okay, so I think I would like to start it from a different perspective because mostly people don't even know what Comeso actually means. And Comeso's actually we came up with a unique name that I wanted to establish into a brand. So Comeso is just a mixture of commitment. So we took the C and the O to a medical, then we took the M and the E, and then we took solution and we took the S and the O. So it's Comeso, commitment to a medical solution. And yeah, that's what our aim is, and also how the whole brand identity of Comeso is built around. The Comeso logo itself is also a very unique Adinkra sign, which also refers to commitment, a historical sign from my heritage. And yes, so how I came up with the idea. So I was born in Ghana. And then under 3 years, my parents decided to move from Ghana to Germany, and we left our relatives behind. And unfortunately, one of my beloved aunties fell seriously ill, and my mother had to support her with healthcare financing. And unfortunately, we couldn't ensure that the money that we spent was spent on its actual purpose. And I also noticed that a lot of diaspora and community, like people that live abroad and support the healthcare financing of their relatives back home, suffer with similar challenges. And however, my auntie unfortunately passed away, and it really got into my mind, and I noticed like so many in my community are facing similar challenges with securing and supporting. And I was like, this could be so easy to establish, so easy to solve. And that's how I came up with Comeso. So the vision of Comeso is to have every healthcare facility abroad branded with a Comeso logo, just as how you see Visa or MasterCard, and you know that's where you can pay. And wherever you send or whoever you send a healthcare voucher to, they can redeem it at any of our healthcare services. So we have a platform of healthcare providers locally that accept our payment method that we are currently rolling out. And yeah, setting up our live this very soon. So that's the vision, to have like a platform of purpose-driven healthcare payments to redefine remittances and ensure cross-border payments for people that are living far.
Awesome. I mean, I love the idea, and I told you a couple of times already that I think it's such a wonderful idea, such a powerful and life-changing idea, right? You have a lot of different startups. Kind of industrial solutions or cybersecurity, and all of those, they help businesses to do something. I think there's something powerful and something, I would say, yeah, empowering also in solutions that help people with a very specific need. So that's quite cool to start with such a vision. But again, like, the vision is simple to explain, I would say. It's kind of on a high level. Getting it done in the end probably isn't all that easy. So let's start from the beginning. How did you start? How did you come up with the idea of now seeing that problem and doing something about it? How did that get started?
So I think what actually encouraged me was my university environment. So I study at a I study at an entrepreneur university. So they support entrepreneurship and everything that comes along with it. So we had an incubator training, just let's say a 1 week workshop where you can just drop your idea and then you find some co-founders virtually back then as well. And I was very eager to win because at the end of these 5 days, you were able to win like a grand prize of 500 euros. And I was like, I'm definitely going to attend, make sure that I win because I'm not wasting my 5 days to not be on the first place. And that's how it actually started. So back then, my co-founder, she's no more my co-founder anymore, unfortunately, but back then, my co-founder was very eager to start this journey, and somehow we got to another pitch competition where we also had the opportunity to win a grand prize, and that's where we also came along our first angel support. So we received an angel grant from an established bank and a very established entrepreneur back then. His name is Jakob Fati. He's also the founder of FitX, a very big fitness chain. So that's how it started. We received grants, and that we noticed that we have a network. So he introduced us to one of our first healthcare providers in Ghana back then. So it was also a pharmacy chain, so which also gave us like an idea on how we can design the go-to-market strategy to work with partnerships. And yeah, and that's how it started. Then we got another grant, another scholarship, another network, another support. You be just traveling all around to build like a network, to understand the ecosystem first, and understand the regulations as well. And that's how we navigated, and that's how we actually started. Yes.
Okay, quite interesting. So going to those competitions, I think it's a wonderful topic, right? So usually what they say is you need to prove the idea, and in product management you do that quite often. As a startup founder, you have to do it as well, and that gives you immediate feedback, right? Seeing that the idea is interested, there's interest in the idea, and there's people liking it, is also very motivating, I think. But then again, like there's two people, you have a co-founder, you get some money, but of course you can't like do everything yourself. What skills did you need to get into your team that you personally didn't have, or that you needed external help for?
That's actually a very good question, because at the beginning of a startup, you actually don't know what you need. You probably need everything. So mostly startups say they need money, but in our case, we noticed that we need like more computer science skills. So though my university or my studies have marketing, computer science, and management, we still needed a full stack developer to develop our app. And we were also very big in our thinking and very complicated in our thinking, instead of focusing on the problem. So we knew that the solution was, this is what we need, but to test what the solution actually is, to eventually understand that the solution is not an app. So at the beginning, we were like, we need to build an app, we need to build an app. However, we were also very distracted because everyone around us was like, yeah, you have to launch within a year, the scholarship ends after a year, and this and that. But the high regulated market that we want to explore does not allow us to go live within a year. So we ended up in a workshop, and then we noticed that what we are building is not what we think that we are building is not what actually our customers need. What we actually need is a solution of the problem. And to test this solution, we just need to develop a system which is selling vouchers. So we needed to sell vouchers, and so we broke down the whole idea into a very, very minimal, viable, scrappy product. And with the little money that we had, we were able to just reach out to someone on Fiverr, design a very, very crappy solution, and we're like, okay, this is what we want to go to Ghana with. So our entrance market right now is Ghana. And the healthcare providers that we already built relationships with, we were able to reach out to them and and ask them to even test our dashboard. So what we did is we set up a GoFundMe account within our community, asked people if they wanted to donate, and then we converted the donations into health vouchers in Ghana locally with the healthcare providers that we're working with, tested the user acceptance between the potential beneficiary and the healthcare providers there, and asked people if they wanted to test the technology, if the onboarding was seamless, if they have any questions. So we gave out free health vouchers basically for individuals that were not able to pay for their medication. But at the same time, we were able to test if people would even understand using our technology. And we even found out things that we shouldn't even build or implement in our, let's say, authentication process. For example, email is not very established in Ghana as how it is in Germany. So we took out the email registration and replaced it to a mobile number registrations. So this is how we were able to conquer all the challenges that we had, like especially with IT, which is like one of the biggest challenge that startups mostly, especially tech startups mostly encounter. They'll come up with a great IT solution, but then they have the problem that they don't have anyone to build it with. So we had to break it down to the core problem that we wanted to solve, the core problem that was needed to solve to validate the business. And then we found it with a minimal resources that we found on the internet, with Fiverr, with some developers that build it very scrappy so that we can test it.
Very
Yeah.
interesting. I think it kind of the first thing you feel when you have such a big idea is how to break it down, right? How to make it, how to break it down into tangible, and also kind of not only pieces that are tangible, but that are also executable with the money you have, with the resources you have. Quite an interesting journey. I totally liked also the fact that you basically started with solving the problem in an almost not automated fashion, right? So solving the problem, maybe if it's not an app yet, but you can try it out, and finding these ways to solve the actual problem without the solution being there yet, to then see how the market. Totally interesting approach to it. I really enjoy that. So you talked a little bit about the financial services and the highly regulated markets versus you being requested to go live in a year. Was that your biggest challenge? What challenges did you face on that journey?
I think that was the biggest challenge because I found myself around these incubators under pressure because everyone was like, yeah, you have to go live. Everyone is like waiting for us to go live, but we are not even building it for these people. We are building it for our community. And though these people are already waiting for a solution, or they know that they need a solution, but the market is not created yet. We are the one who decides to create a market. We are the one who decides to launch our solution. We need to be fast, but like even looking back, everyone or every competitor that wanted to take over on the race got already shut down by the regulators. So the biggest challenge is so far, yes, the regulations that we experience. So not because they are against us, but because we are working together with them. So we have regular calls with the authorities. We introduce them the business model. We go through with our lawyers with even long-term solutions with the authorities. So we just want to make sure that everything that we are doing is regulated, is compliant, and we don't want to get shut down. Because once you got shut down, it's even harder to get whitelisted. So we want to make sure that everything that we build is compliant and is stable. So as it is, the foundation always takes longer than the bricks after. So yeah, that's one of the challenges that we experience. And within the journey, we noticed that other startups are also facing these challenges, but rather than solving the challenge or going through the challenge, they'd rather give up. So one of our biggest challenges is just the resilience. I think it also comes with the German paperwork that we are used to. And we are very grateful for this skill that we have as well.
I think it's quite interesting. Yeah, solution sounds simple. The value is immediately there, but then again, as you are in a fintech space, as you are handling financial information and the whole 9 yards of what banks have to comply with also apply to a fintech startup, which is quite unfortunate, yeah, but also gives you some competitive advantage if you go through that. I think I heard
Exactly.
that through.
And especially, I
And
would like to add as well is we are not only navigating and that's what people also don't understand, or like people from outside don't understand, is that we're not only navigating the, let's say, Ghanaian or the African side, since we are having a market that sends to one market to another market. It's like we are having both regulators on our side. So we have the European context, we have to apply the European context to the African context, then to the Ghanaian context, because if you want, you have to you have to make the measurements good enough and fast enough, and calculations good enough and fast enough to understand, okay, this is how I did it in Ghana. If we want to scale it to Nigeria, or we want to scale it to, let's say, Uganda, we have to do it this way and that way. So there's so many things that you have to, and I actually recommend learning it at the beginning first to understand at the beginning how much resource do you need, so that when you're ready to scale up into this market, you don't have to actually find out and waste money and time to find out. So I rather prefer to take your time at the beginning, set the foundation, set the planning, and then later you can be fast and strong as well.
Absolutely. Very interesting. So where's Comeso now? What is your kind of current stance, and what is the next kind of upcoming things that will happen?
So 2 weeks ago, we won our last competition. We participated at the EY Startup Academy in Frankfurt. We incorporated our entity in Frankfurt, so we are a Frankfurter startup now, and also a Ghanaian incorporation. So since we are a financial institution, we do have to incorporate it in every country that we do financial services. And we are just getting ready to go for our next test round, launching our next testing beta version of Comeso. So we established all the payment provider partnership. We established all the healthcare provider start partnerships. We are now preparing for our onboarding journey, and looking for test users as well to test the technology, to test the whole process, and to also give us feedback on the pricing. So it's one of the most challenging that we also encountered is the financial planning. So we do not have experience, of course, in how to make a financial planning or projection of how many transactions do we expect, how is the transaction history going to be. It's quite difficult because we are also working with different currencies. So maybe shout out on this place if anyone is out there that thinks that our idea is very insightful and powerful. We would love to exchange your experience on how you solved it. But this is something that we are currently struggling. However, we're also preparing to reach out to investors as soon as we validated the business model, because we see a huge scaling potential, especially because of the markets that needs the solution. And that's where we are right now. It's quite exciting. It's sometimes I don't know what will happen next. That's mostly how you feel as a startup founder. You wake up and you be like, what surprise is going to happen today? But so far, we don't have any funds stocked yet. We don't have any transactions being stocked yet. So I'm still in a good place. It can be worse looking at my other fintech friends that are waking up every morning. And but yeah, so this is what's going on. It's quite exciting, preparing for our going live, and being ready to scale as fast as possible.
Absolutely amazing. Very, very insightful also to understand and learn about those challenges with the multinational situation, right? Normally in a startup, if you go like a beachhead segment, market focus, for example, you start in a specific geography, And then you move to the next one where you already, from the beginning, have to handle two different geographies with completely different systems, and then also deep rooted in their regulatory environments and banking financial services industry, which is quite amazing. Any suggestions for building a product or building a solution in financial services? What would you do different next time when kind of setting up these environments or setting up a solution for that?
Okay, so building a product and building a solution from my perspective, coming from a high regulated market, are two different things. So you can build a solution which is going to be accepted by the regulators, and then you're on the market. But you can have a product which is not the a validated regulated solution. So you can have a product but it can't be live, or it was shut down, but you have a solution that everyone can work with and everyone says is acceptable to work with.
Let me just jump in, like a little bit understanding better. Product meaning in that case, you have an app and I let people in country A download that app and country B download that app, and I can make it act as if it transfers money, or I can find ways to transfer money. But solution means, what does solution mean? Maybe I'm asking that question. What is the difference there? What is a solution from a regulator perspective?
So the solution is, for example, like us, we have a problem, and this could be a solution if you design is a solution like a journey that everyone would be able to adapt to it, and it will actually solve the problem. So our aim is to solve healthcare financing, and not only for the sender, because they're relieved to have a purpose-driven solution which is transparent. It's also from the healthcare providers, because they basically have challenges accepting healthcare financing. Of course, you can directly send it to the healthcare provider itself, but we notice, and this is what the feedback that we receive, that many of the funds that being sent from the diaspora is either stuck in the process. So the remittance solutions that is being sent is being used is not stable, and then the money can't be directed to the beneficiary. So mostly the beneficiary will be sitting in the waiting room until the healthcare provider confirms that the money arrived. So depending on how ill the beneficiary is, they can't access healthcare until they pay. So this is the solution that we are providing. With our solution, the beneficiary does not have to wait until a confirmation before they can receive the treatment, and the healthcare provider does not have to find which payment goes to which beneficiary, and they just have to redeem it, and they don't have to allocate where the funds is coming from, when is it coming, is it stocked. So we are focusing on this solution. Yeah.
All right. Then one more question, which is also kind of interesting, and you're talking about a beneficiary. I mean, in essence, you have, maybe you tell me I'm wrong, but you have three different customers, right? Or three different profiles. You have the people sending money, if I understand correctly. You have the people receiving the money, or not receiving the money, receiving the healthcare. And then you have the healthcare providers, in essence, right? Is that increasing complexity? What is the challenge there?
It's not really increasing complexity. It's more a B2B2C model. So it makes us flexible, honestly. So however, who you're talking to, you focus more on the C purpose or the benefit of the C, or you focus more on the B2B relationship. So on a B2B relationship, it's easy to scale, because definitely every healthcare provider wants to benefit from additional revenue through remittances from the diaspora. So when we come from this perspective, and also they have to pay a commission fee to accept this, or to use this payment method for their patients. So it's not, from this perspective, it's not complex at all. However, we experienced the complexity when we didn't know how to sell and give the storytelling for our innovation. So we were more focused on the C level. So yeah, why would you want to send money to your relative? Why would you want to be in control of the funds? So if you come from this perspective, you'd be very, this innovation really does not make sense, or does it even make sense? But when you come from the perspective and you combine the whole B2B to C business model, then you understand that there's huge potential in it. It's I don't know how. I know other innovations also had their challenges, especially when it's something that they never knew, or it's not in their problem field. So I know that, and I have to, because it's like our innovation, and we believe strongly in the solution and the potential in it. It's going to be a big journey, and we definitely need to be very resilient. I somehow think that it's going to be like Spotify, like how they started. I don't know if you know their journey. So let's say in my startup founder bubble, in my mind, the ambition is huge. I remember the first time I pitched Comeso. Back then, they were like ambitious, but the journey that we came along, and the partnerships that we established so far, are committed. So if it's a long journey, but if it wasn't a solution, then people wouldn't partner with us. Things wouldn't be enabling for us. So therefore, I'm very very confident in our journey.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's usually with the big ideas, and oftentimes you only see the launch day or the release of such a solution, and you do not see the journey that leads toward. I mean, you have that with, like, Spotify is a simple example, but if you look at, for example, Uber, the pitch for Uber is a 1 minute thing. You can easily explain what Uber does, the challenges they had. And then there's a ton of books and research about it already, but like changing their direction or adjusting their go-to-market to make it more specific or target a certain group. I think that is such a powerful lesson also, and I think it's great to see and learn from you also how things got started. Maybe as a last thought for today, what would you suggest to someone having such a huge idea in their minds and maybe being a bit overwhelmed by it's too big?
Okay, so with having this big idea, first things first, your network is your net worth. So make sure you already build the relationships. I'm now sitting here talking about Uganda and Nigeria. We already have our foot in these countries. We already have connections. We already know how we can establish this big idea. So this is first thing that I have to be very confident with. And I definitely also have to recommend at the beginning of every startup journey, everyone is like, oh, you're at this event, you're going to this event, you're only at events, you are building your network. You need to be at these events at the beginning of your journey to understand who to reach out to, who are the ecosystem players, who are the big players. Make yourself out there so people know about your idea, and people will make network for you when you don't have time for networking anymore. So right now, I'm not more as out there at every event as how I used to be before. But people are, and people know, so they reach out to me. Hey, I have a new connection. So their network is definitely very, very important. And I also encourage to just start. So I remember when I started, everyone was like, oh, how is this going to work? And this and that and blah, blah. And this one also gives like a quite intro to idea. I remember when we started with idea and no one actually believed in it. And however, now it became the biggest business and culture platform in Germany. We are now establishing in Europe. We have partnerships with very successful and established companies like Google, PayPal, LinkedIn. So just start, make yourself in circles around people that encourage each other, that understand the vision, that are resilient and that have drive, because that's how you can actually grow. Don't turn yourself around back from people that think negatively, that think small of you. Just be brave. I think that's very, very important, that the people that you surround yourself with, because then you don't have to think of things that are not possible. Like, I get so much triggered when you tell me, oh, this is not possible. I get like goosebumps, because for me, everything is possible. I find every solution, no matter how difficult it is. Like, I can break my mind 2 hours to find a solution. I will definitely find a minimal viable solution. So this is what I can share with everyone. And and also find mentors, people that see the potential in you and just like give you some words of encouragement to keep the pace. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think those are absolutely fantastic closing words. Thank you, Gloria. I think it was a very insightful session, also very motivating session. Not only because you personally are very motivating, but also the idea, and I think the aspiration behind it is such a powerful one. Yeah, looking forward to the next conversation and wishing you all the best for Comeso and idea, and the next month and years.
Thank you, Felix. You as well. Much success, and looking forward to more insightful podcasts of yours.
All right. See you soon. Bye.